At the beginning of the film, we are shown an old female patient who is attended by a beautiful nurse named Gwen. At that moment, the patient is experiencing shortness of breath and asks that more oxygen to be supplied to her. Instead, the nurse turns off the oxygen machine and presses the air tube, causing the patient to be unable to breathe. The patient's heartbeat is stopped as a result of this action. The nurse then pretends to shout blue code, which brings doctors to help the patient. In fact, while the doctor is pumping her heart, the nurse is just standing in front of the door, smiling just like a psychopath. Fortunately, the patient's life is still able to be saved by the doctor. After seeing their condition, the nurse walks away as if she is satisfied for what she has done. The scene then shifts to a large house where a small family appears to be living peacefully. The wife, Mira, is preparing breakfast for her husband, Todd. Their son, Max, then approaching them and tells them that he has problems with his legs. Max suffers from muscular dystrophy, which requires the use of crutches to help him walk around. Mira becomes worried when she hears this because her child often walks up and down the stairs on his own. But Todd tries to calm them down and believes it is a normal thing. Following that, it turns out that Gwen, the psychopath nurse, works in the house to take care of Max. While the four of them are having breakfast together, Max accidentally drops his crutch. Gwen then helps him take his crutch back, but she deliberately loosens the end of his crutch, so that Max will fall due to it later. Not long after that, Todd is ready to go to work while Mira neatens his suit. Gwen is a little jealous when she sees Todd and Mira's intimacy. After Todd has left for works, one of Mira's friends, Karen, come to visit her at her house. They can both see how happy Gwen and Max are when they are having fun playing ball. During their conversation, Mira expresses her feelings that Max and Todd prefer Gwen over herself. At that moment, Gwen purposely overhears their conversation. Karen then suggests that Mira check the references of other nurses who might be able to replace Gwen. But Mira refuses because she believes Gwen has taken good care of Max. They then hear Max's screams as he falls to the ground. Mira, who sees Max's condition, blames Gwen for her carelessness, but Max explains that it isn't Gwen's fault. According to him, the crutch breaks unexpectedly while he is walking around the house. Mira tries to contact Dr. Keller to check on Max's condition, as well as to order a new crutches to replace Max's broken ones. Later that night, Mira apologizes to Gwen for what happened this afternoon. Gwen then said it was fine because it was a stressful moment for her as a mother. Gwen also make a therapeutic tea for Mira so that she can rest. The next day, Mira joins the community of people with muscular dystrophy. She tells the story of Max, who has been diagnosed this year. Max starts to experience it when he climbs up the slide, and falls backwards onto the sand after slipping. Mira can't hold back her tears as she remembers the incident, and she was so scared when she saw Max fall on the previous day. When Mira returns home, she is surprised by Gwen, who appears out of nowhere and offers Mira another tea. While Mira is sleeping on the sofa, Dr. Keller comes to the house to give Max a new pair of crutches. But Gwen doesn't allow Dr. Keller to meet Max. When she is about to leave, she says that she seems to know Gwen, but she has forgotten where she last saw her. She also promises Gwen that if she is able to recall it, she will let her know. During the evening, Gwen visits to Dr. Keller at her house, where she tells her that she still remembers Dr. Keller. As soon as Gwen enters the house, Gwen immediately injects something into her, and says that they know each other from their time in the hospital. In fact, they were treating the patient who Gwen attempted to kill at the beginning of the film. Gwen also admits that she intends to kill Dr. Keller, who is considered a nuisance to her and her family. To give you some background, Gwen is obsessed with family relationships, which is why she behaves in this way. It turns out she has injected Dr. Keller with a high dose of drugs, which has the effect of rendering Dr. Keller unconscious. Later that night, Mira receives a call from an unknown caller named David. David admits that he is a friend of community she has recently joined. He tries to get closer to Mira by telling her that his son, Carter, also suffers from muscular dystrophy. However, when she wants to see the person she was talking to, she can only see a low-resolution photo of the man. David admits that his wife has died, and following that, he is being helped by a nurse to take care of Carter. Mira, who hears this, believes she took the right step by hiring a nurse to live in the same house with her. But Mira had no idea that David is actually Gwen herself, who changes her voice using software on a computer. In the morning, Karen returns to Mira's house, where she is currently having breakfast with her family. Karen then accidentally spills a drink on Todd's shirt, forcing Todd to take off his shirt. Meanwhile, Gwen looks fascinated by Todd, and she then takes Todd's clothes to the laundry room. Karen, who notices Mira is unwell, offers to help her in getting her bag from her office room. However, as she passes by the laundry room, Karen accidentally sees Gwen smelling Todd's clothes. Following night, Gwen, who pretends to be David, calls Mira again, and asks about her and Max's condition. Mira says that she isn't feeling well on that day, and David suggests her nurse to check on her to make sure she is okay. After that, Gwen hangs up the phone and immediately approaches Mira. She then pretends to have caught Mira and seems to accuse Mira of cheating on Todd. Gwen then meets with Todd and tells him that Mira has just gotten off the phone with a man. Gwen tries to persuade Todd to suspect that Mira is cheating on him. But Todd still defends his wife, claiming that Mira is overworked and may not be getting enough sleep. Gwen then says goodnight and hugs Todd. The following morning, Gwen and Todd are in the kitchen while Mira is still asleep. It seems Gwen is always looking for ways to spend as much time with Todd as possible. Gwen then attempts to seduce Todd by touching him, but is thwarted by Mira, who is just awoken from her sleep. Meanwhile, Gwen has made breakfast, and even Gwen has taken over all the housework. Todd is worried about Mira because he often saw her sleeping on the sofa. Karen then calls Mira to thank her for sending her birthday flowers on her special day. However, Mira is confused as she hears it because she doesn't remember sending it in the first place. Karen is worried about Mira's condition and advises her to see a doctor. However, it turns out that Gwen is the one who sent the flowers, and she expresses concern that Mira will forget Karen's birthday.